Konnichiwa, snitches. I'm B. This is Bro Takuza. Okay, so I've mentioned before in previous videos that I'm not the biggest fan of shooters. However, since PSVR and this little guy have come along, I've actually been having a blast with them. Now, I've suffered for years from PWSD, which is also commonly known as peripheral weak stress disorder, and if anything made for a gaming system even came off the slightest bit like a gimmick, I stayed far, far away. But I caved on the aim controller, and I suggest that you guys do the same. Now, not every game on this list is compatible with or required to have the aim controller, so if you're still not sold on it but still want a good FPS experience, I've got you covered. These are the 6 best PSVR shooting games that you need to play. At number 6, SuperHot. SuperHot has made multiple appearances on this channel, and that should tell you just how much I love it. It's not your typical shooter, and I mean that in the best way possible. You use your body movement to control time while clearing waves of digital baddies in a Matrix-type atmosphere. At this point, SuperHot is a bona fide classic, and not just a game that I think you should own, but one that you should use to convert your skeptical friends into VR enthusiasts. At number 5, Archangel. As a fan of the Evangelion anime series, the idea of piloting my own mecha in VR was like a dream, and Archangel did a beautiful job of making that dream come true. It's a thrilling on-rails shooter with an engaging story, and it barely gives you enough time to breathe, which means that mastering the controls as quickly as possible is an absolute must. The single-player campaign is quite short, but this game seems to be on sale at the PSN store quite frequently these days, so it may be a little easier to justify the purchase now than it was in the past. And you can always bump up the difficulty to squeeze out a little more replay value. At number 4, it's a tie between Blasters of the Universe and Space Pirate Trainer. Both of these games are incredibly addictive wave shooters. Blasters of the Universe dubs itself as VR bullet hell, and with good reason. This is a wave shooter that will have you breaking a sweat as you dodge an onslaught of enemies. The 80s vibe is a big plus for me personally, and even though the levels are relatively short, the harder difficulties, customizable guns, and online leaderboards will be enough to entice you to come back for more punishment. Now, releasing a full 2 years after the other major VR platforms got it, Space Pirate Trainer was worth the wait in my opinion, especially at a very reasonable $15 price tag. This is a chaotic wave shooter with just enough unique elements that set it apart from others, such as an electric whip that allows you to wrangle enemies and slam them into the ground. Again, just like with Blasters, you'll find yourself coming back in hopes of achieving the coveted leaderboard high score. Flat wave shooters can grow frustrating and annoying at times, but these two titles using VR to their advantage actually make the genre more fun and a challenge that you will enjoy taking. At number 3, The Persistence. I really feel a little weird putting this title at number 3. As an overall FPS in terms of story, atmosphere, etc., it's by far the best game on this list. But shooting is merely one of the elements that make The Persistence great. Stealth is also a part of the game, so there are points where shooting is not in your best interest. But even when it is, the lack of PS Move or aim controller support feels like a truly missed opportunity, leaving a bit to be desired in terms of the shooting immersion that the other games on this list can offer. Having said all that, this is still technically an FPS, and it would be just wrong not to include it as a highly recommended experience. At number 2, Farpoint. Farpoint helped usher in the aim controller as a must-have peripheral for PSVR owners, and was the realization of everything a first-person shooter could and should be. What I love most about Farpoint is that, in exploring this alien world and discovering new information about your surroundings and gathering pieces of the story along the way, it was also in a way acting as an introduction to the new frontier that is PSVR and the possibilities that could be unlocked with the aim controller. And at number 1, the current undisputed king of PSVR shooters, Firewall 0 Hour. This tactical 4-on-4 Rainbow Six style team shooter was a must-buy right out of the gate, and it's only gotten better as the developers of the game continue to add more maps and goodies to keep things interesting. And the influx of new players on a regular basis has kept the lobbies healthy, which I don't see slowing down anytime soon. Speaking of lobbies, if there's one downside that I could apply to Firewall, is that it seems sometimes that loading screens and waiting for matches to begin are almost twice as long as the actual matches themselves. However, once you get a taste of the action, those wait times don't seem as long. I've never been a Call of Duty guy, I've never been a Battlefield guy, but I'm definitely a Firewall 0 Hour guy. Well, That was my lineup of the PSVR shooter essentials out right now. And you can be sure that when Sirento finally comes to PSVR, it will definitely be near the top of this list. If you've got another game that you think should be on here, then share it in the comments below. I'll be back very soon, but until then, sayonara, suckers.